I watched a movie recently and want to share this experience with you. Let's begin. I recently stumbled upon a discussion of this film online, and to my surprise, I had found out an alternative explanation of this story. This is exactly what this video is about. Well, mostly. I probably should start with my understanding of it. In short terms, Jung-soo secretly in love with her Mi. They know each other since childhood, and after some time, he meets her on the street. To his luck, Hemi in love with him as well, but the thing is that they struggle to admit it to each other. She asks him to take a look after her cat, while she is going to travel. Jung-soo is a country guy that moved back in home while his dad is in jail. Hemi gets back from Africa with rich guy Ben. And most of the movie, we watch this strange triangle, and everyone can clearly declare in what relationship they are in. Jung-soo is a bit confused. Ben pays the bills and entertaining Hemi, so to speak. Well, here, well, I don't know, can decide what she wants, I guess. As story goes, we find out that Ben helping lost girls like Hemi. And he have a hobby as well. He confessed to Jung-soo that he loves to burn down old and layout greenhouses. That view brings him the sense of being alive in some way. After that, Hemi disappeared. Jung-soo starts to check every abandoned greenhouse around to confirm for himself that Ben's words was true and not a metaphor for killing people. Hemi is not answering his calls. After checking everything around, he goes to her place, only to find out that she moved. He starts following Ben and sees that he is already with another girl. At some moment Ben notices and invites him to his place. After Jung-soo sees Hemi watch in the shelf and that her cat now lives with Ben, he is certain Hemi didn't just disappear. After that he revenged Ben for killing Hemi, and that's kinda it, the end. But imagine my surprise when I find out explanation that Ben didn't kill anyone. Next I will read the text of that long commentary that I have found out with explanations about the plot of this film. Let me tell you a brief story about how I discovered this film. A friend recommended it to me. She once said something to me like, "You need to burn down your greenhouses." I didn't understand her, so she recommended this film. If it hadn't been for her comment, I would have misinterpreted it. As Jung-soo told Ben the story of how his mother abandoned him and his father, and how his dad took her things out to burn them as an act of farewell to the past. When the girl danced naked at the sunset, it was a frank and open moment for her, and the only person she had feelings for insulted her by saying that only horse undressed so easily in front of men. It was here that she became upset with him and left with Ben, and that shot of her was the last one in the film. I think it was at that moment that she decided to burn down her greenhouse and start over, and Ben helped her to do it. That calls with silence, I think it was she who called, trying to say goodbye to Jung-soo, to the past. When she and Ben left Jung-soo, Ben left him lighter, as if to say, burn down your greenhouse. But Jung-soo is a simple guy, and took him literally. The girl's story about the well is also a metaphor, and she also left her cat with Ben. Would a serial killer care for someone else's cat? And at the moment of his death, Ben didn't feel any anger. On the contrary, he had his killer Jung-soo. Is that the behavior of a serial killer? I think this film is simply misunderstood by the masses. If there had been an alternate ending, where after killing Ben, Jung-soo gets into his car and receives a call from Hemi saying, "I decided to start over and just call to say goodbye," it would have had a much greater impact on the average viewer. As it is, many people just interpreted this film too trivially, even though it's an absolute masterpiece. Now we will go into more detail about why Ben isn't a killer and how everything really works. For some reason few people notice, even though we are shown and told numerous times, that Hami is in love with Jung-soo. She is the one who initiates their relationship, and she's been fixated on him since childhood. You called me ugly, so what now? I fell into the well, and Jung-soo saved me. Even Ben himself says she thought you were special. We are shown how she constantly looks at him, first with hope and then with disappointment. Here she is, returning from Africa, sharing revelations about sunset and death. All that while looking him straight in the eye, with tears in her eyes. She talks about the great hunger, when we want something we don't have, and demonstratively eats imaginary fruit. You have to want it, Jung-soo. She waits for him to offer her a ride and express interest, but he doesn't even put up a fight and just hands over her luggage. She is constantly disappointed. The stone on the car scene is explicitly played out for Jung-soo, where Ben says, "You can tell a guy how you feel, because you have a stone on your heart." Yes, she can tell Jung-soo directly, and it's acted like a mime, but he doesn't understand it. Ben, a man from a wealthy family, helps the girls like that like a kind of therapeutic actor, so they can free themselves from the shackles of the past and enjoy life outside their greenhouse. This is how they met somewhere off screen. She's trying to decide either finally make Jung-soo fall for her somehow, force him into action, by using jealousy or dramatic scenes, so the message finally sinks in and the matter can be put to rest, or burn down the greenhouse, disappear and forget him forever. All these games with Metaverse are their collective attempts to wake Jong-soo up and get through to him. It is when Jong-soo, alone with Ben, talks about his father and deep-seated problems. I buried my mother since my father started a fire in the yard. Then Ben comes up with a metaphor and replies that he burns greenhouses, helping others get rid of their painful past. When Jong-soo confesses to Ben that he loves Hermie, he finds it funny because that unfortunate couple can't find a common language at all, and apparently because Ben and Hermie have almost burned down this greenhouse, having dealt with her internal problem in relation to Jung-soo. Jung-soo is burning the greenhouse that Hermie burned down for herself and vanished. Jung-soo's final insulting words finish her off and disillusion her, convincing her to disappear forever. They leave, but Ben deliberately leaves him a lighter, as a hint that you should try burning the past too. The mysterious final call from her phone is the moment when she finally erases him. We hear running, Ben's voice calling out to Hermie. Car horns, wind, rustling, knocking, and silence. I complete the picture like this. They are somewhere on the bridge. She calls him one last time, then impulsively runs to throw away her phone, and, symbolically, Jung-soo himself. Ben is rich, successful, and slightly bored guy. After helping another girl and sending her on her way, he carelessly takes her cat, keeps her watch as another trophy, and doesn't even bother to hide anything. He remembers the lighter he left behind. Ben is quite sincerely willing to help Jong-soo. He doesn't hide, he invites him over, tells him to open his heart, and in the end, dying at Jong-soo's hand, he even hugs him, because he pities him to the last moment. Jong-soo burns Ben like a greenhouse for himself, but is left completely naked in the cold. Suppressed aggression has surfaced, just like his father's. He is covered in blood, scared, running away, and in some sense, he is becoming his true self. Ben wasn't the killer, and the suspense and thriller-like hints are deliberately calculated and flawlessly constructed by the author to keep us guessing and unable to establish any definitive conclusion. The author deliberately leads us down this predictable path, creating a conflict through the protagonist, Jung-soo's bleak perception. Well, first thought after reading all that was like, who wrote this screenplay? A woman? Jokes aside, it really gives me that awkward feeling when she never says anything straightforward to you, and after some time she is disappointed that you didn't figure out her game of hints and metaphors. Instead of telling Jong-soo about her feelings till she gets a straight answer, she hangs out with another guy, sharing all her drama with him. And surprisingly, that didn't move her any closer to Jong-soo. And even more, that triangle of misunderstanding leads to the death of the good guy. Even after reading these explanations, I am still struggle to read through all these hints in the movie. I mean, how I should have noticed that context, when everything is allegorical and so confusing. What a mess I thought at first. But don't get me wrong, not about the movie and its story, not at all. More like about the emotional nature of the relationships between people. This story turns out to be more interesting and meaningful, because it makes me think about men and women, how different we are, and how sharp those differences could hit sometimes, with new wave of understanding. Reading those explanations again and again is really bothering me somehow. Just say what you want, girl, no hints and metaphors. At the end of the day, what do you want? To be loved or to be entertained? Yeah, what a confusing mess. In the heads of people who see only one side of this complex story, pseudo-intellectual side of how cool the screenplay is. I don't want to sound like I'm judging it in any way, I just want to reveal the idea that hidden behind that complexity of that emotional story. What is the point in all the drama? Express your feelings to the person of interest to see if it's mutual, if you want the same thing, if you can build the future together, instead of acting and pretending, hiding your fear of being judged and being exposed behind hints and metaphors. You know what, this film is great. I just realized that its ending is literally shows us to what end that behavior is leading. For me, moves on, leaving unsolved question behind. Did he love me? Did he feel the same and didn't know how to express those feelings? Jung-soo is misled by all the drama and kills the innocent man. Ben dies for nothing. Indeed, good screenplay after all. I only wonder how much people will pay attention to the final thought of this film. As this commentary goes, a friend once said to me, you need to burn down your greenhouses. It is said that instead of the thought of do not act like her me, because the drama and misunderstanding doesn't get you anywhere, without mentioning that she still didn't find out if her feelings was mutual and they was. After all, as viewers we know this. A friend of that guy in the comments stays with get rid of your past idea, forgetting about the meaning behind this cover. And that line with rich stranger will help to figure it out for you girl, ain't it the bottom line of a modern dating culture? Well, if you generally feel something, find the way to express it. Sometimes the simpler the better.